Well, global leaders across sectors who are converged on Davos, Switzerland, are getting ready for the arrival and address in the short term of U.S. President Donald Trump for European and NATO allies of the U.S. It has been a particularly anxious time, given President Trump's expressed desire to wrest Greenland from Denmark. Rice correspondent Agnès Osakwe joins us now to set the scene for what's been expected. Annie, it's good to have you with us now. Today is the highly anticipated day where we'll finally hear from President Trump. What's the sentiment there on the ground among European leaders?
Yes, it's good to be with you, Ni. And, it's a very bright and sunny day here today in Davos. I'm squinting just to look at the camera. But I have to say that generally the sentiment among European leaders with President Trump set to arrive really any moment now is just one of anticipation. And it's one that's been steadily kind of creeping up ever since, one, Trump was announced that he would be attending Davos. And two, ever since we found out that he would be delivering this major speech. And then, of course, on top of that was all of this drama around what will happen, what will be the fate of Greenland, and how is Denmark and the rest of Europe really going to respond to this? So yesterday we heard from President Trump when he was leaving the White House, where he said, you'll have to see what happens with Greenland, how far I and the US is willing to go to essentially take over the entire country. And we also heard from the French president, Emmanuel Macron, yesterday, who, he gave a pretty wide-ranging speech. But one key point he made was that this is a moment that Europe can seize for more independence, to reestablish their sovereignty and their autonomy. And that's basically something that we've also heard today. Earlier this morning, some leaders we had the president of Poland, the president of Finland, and also the Secretary General of NATO at a panel session. It finished about an hour and a half ago, and I was listening in, and they essentially said the same thing, that this is a moment that Europe can seize to really establish the fact that they are independent and they can exist, without so much presence from the US. And something that, they were really trying to address in this panel session, because it was titled, "Can Europe Defend Itself?" And they basically said, yes, European countries have a strong military, they have soldiers who are ready to be deployed at any moment, and they're ready. And, their relationship with the US is one that has a long history, and at the end of the day, they would much rather prefer diplomacy, but they are still independent countries. And there is this sense that there's an opportunity for an off-ramp with President Trump coming here, being here in person, as opposed to trying to set up a meeting that may take, weeks or months. Everyone will essentially be right here. Davos is the nexus. It's an opportunity to speak, to dialogue in person. So we'll have to see how it all plays out, but we'll all be watching that speech that's set to start pretty soon.
Absolutely. And just like Nigeria, Agnès, Trump is also said to be coming with a sizable U.S. delegation. What are you hearing about how Americans are feeling around Trump and his presence today at Davos?
Yes, so as we all wait for President Trump to arrive, you actually have some key U.S. state governors that are here, and also had their own panel session this morning that I also, sat in and listened to. And you had the governor of Michigan, Gretchen Whitmer, the governor of Kentucky, Andy Beshear, and the governor of Oklahoma, his name is Kevin Stitt. And they were all essentially meeting to discuss, the state of the nation, what they're doing to bring business, bring investment to their state. And their conversations sort of struck me because it's interesting to see these conversations being had at the state level, whereas this is something that you would kind of expect from the federal level, from the President of the United States. But instead of the focus of Trump's trip being on, bringing investment and business and deals to the U.S., it's been almost completely overshadowed by this whole Greenland debacle. So you almost had these state governors stepping in to fill in that role. And interestingly enough, they also all reacted to what was going on, and also just how the view of the U.S. has really shifted ever since this particular Trump administration globally, and it's really been put under the magnifying glass here in Davos because Davos gathers such an international crowd, and they all sort of had different reactions to what should happen with Greenland, what should be the fate of Greenland. I think Andy Bashir put it pretty candidly where he said, I think it's, quote, dumb as hell. Governor Kevin Stitt said that it's an opportunity for Europe to sit up, basically, to strengthen their military and forge their own path that isn't necessarily so dependent on the U.S. And then Gretchen Whitmer kind of ended by saying that even if we're able to sort of move past this moment, our relationship with our allies, our relationship with NATO has fundamentally been changed, and it'll take a very long time to establish that trust and that respect between the U.S. and its allies, because even if other American allies are watching the situation and thinking, could I be next? What does this mean for me? So this impasse over Greenland has far-reaching consequences that impact a lot more places than just the U.S. and Europe. It impacts the world, and like the governor of Michigan, Gretchen Whitmer, was saying, it will impact generations to come. So we'll have to see how that all plays out.
Indeed, and even the global world order is at stake at the moment, so much uncertainty, as it were. Nieze Osakwe, live in Davos, venue of the WEF. I'd like to thank you very much for your thoughts. Hopefully we'll get more updates as they unfold. It's good to have you.